Alright, so in the last video we looked at individual elements DPS for different skills, and today we're going to be looking at some different combos, mixing some elements and what kind of combos work with each other and which don't. Not going to be looking too deep into the ones that don't work, just going to be mainly looking at these 9 builds that actually do work well together. And I was a bit surprised we got up to 9 builds that actually worked. Went through my pal box and sort of sorted through my most used pals and kind of checked what builds I actually had running on them. So we got some aggregate spamming that we're going to be using, but the key factors are what skills have the sort of same range where you don't do the jump back or you want to be close or far away. We got some cooldowns and how they interact with each other. Some just have really long cooldowns and don't work too well. And also these aggregates like Soaked and Electrified combo, as well as the Roots and Fire combo. So we're going to be starting by looking at some mixed DPS build. Now the mixed DPS builds are mainly just you take a look at what attacks are actually the strongest attacks in the game. And for most of these you can mix pretty freely, just take Airblade and something super effective, like in this case here, Blast Cannon and Beam Slicer. But there are a few cases where some of the mixes don't really work, like if you take just Flame Funnel and any water skill, and just some skill mixes as well where the pals sort of jump backwards before landing a Rock Burst, or jump backwards before Airblade, or once running close when you want to stand far away. So this is one build that seems to work well against pretty much everything, just Airblade, Dark Wisp and Flame Funnel. And they're just high DPS skills, they all have 0 minimum range, so no jump back before Airblade, and just Airblade being used before right there, before Dark Wisp comes out again, just seems to synchronize very well with that cooldown if you're running Serenity. You can also use just Flame Funnel, Dark Wisp, and then something super effective if you for some reason don't want to use Airblade. So it doesn't always combo super well with some skills just due to the low cooldown. If you find that it's not being spammed, like it ends up being skill 1, skill 2, Airblade, filler attack, maybe filler attack again, and then skill 1 again. You might just want to swap Airblade for whatever. So it's kind of free here, just don't mix the Hydro Slice or Wall Splash with the Flame Funnel attack really. The second thing we're going to be looking at, the first real combo build here, is the Grass plus Fire combo. So all the Grass skills will have this Ivy Cling aggregate. It creates this root effect on pals, and for those 10 seconds they are rooted, they will take double damage against fire attacks. But the bad part there is most fire attacks cost burn, which then overrides the root aggregate. So there are a couple of combos that sort of work, where you really spam like root attacks like Seed Mine, Solar Blast, Wind Edge, and you try to use something like Flame Funnel, but oftentimes it just gets overwritten. It works best like this if you're using something like Vixen or Ragnarok, where you have them use the grass attacks and really just spam them out. The bad part with Vixen is it uses the basic fire attack, but usually it takes like 3 of those to then actually cause the burn effect and overwrite the root aggregate. So you sort of have to plan out where you're going to be using. The best build so far seems to be just Wind Edge and Seed Mine to really spam the aggregates, or just Solar Blast instead of Seed Mine for slightly smaller targets. So you can see here is another example, just spamming Seed Mine just to max out that root aggregate. But the first roots that happen, they get removed in the very first hit of Flame Funnel. Flame Funnel does use 17 hits that can overwrite with quite high burn chance. So the first roots get overwritten in the first hit, the second root you get 8 double damage hits of Flame Funnel, and then gonna speed it up again because we get some roots a little bit later in the fight. Every time you do apply an aggregate, it lowers the chance of it happening again. So the third roots here, we do get the full double damage on the Flame Funnel. So it depends on the length of the fight. Like much further than this, you're not going to get a lot of root aggregates, not going to get a lot of burn. The fight will just sort of end before they get burned or rooted again. And if the fight is extremely short, you're just going to have it get overwritten by that first wave. So there is a spot for this kind of build to shine. They're all good skills as well, just Wind Edge and Flame Funnel are really good. So you might as well run them and hope that you get a couple of double damage Flame Funnels. Then the second combo build here that works is the Water plus Electric combo. So one option is to run water attacks and then Thunderstorm, because Thunderstorm doesn't have Electrify. It's the only electric skill that won't overwrite, because they suffer from the same thing really. That one skill will often soak, and then the first electric skill will overwrite it with Electrify, So instead of getting double damage, you just get like that very first hit out of like 15 wall splashes doing double damage and then overwritten. But this combo can work. The downside is like Thunderstorm going out first and just never being applied. So you can do it with the mounted pals a little bit more successfully. So this is a way of getting like just a party pal fighting alongside you to make this work a little bit better. Is the Lightning Streak, Hydro Slicer and Curtain Splash combo. Seems to work best as well with a pal that is either electric or water. So it keeps spamming those filler attacks to really just fill up the aggregates. Just because of those diminishing returns. But you can see that here you got double damage on a couple of those Hydro Slicers, then it gets removed for soaked again there on the wall splash. So kind of the same thing there, same thing with the first Lightning Streak got 7,000 damage and the second hit got 3,000 damage. So they've overwritten each other once by now. Second Lightning Streak there, or third now in the fight, doesn't cause Electrify either, because it's been the diminishing returns from that. So it's a little bit with this status resistance rate, which you can plan around. Like Libro and Tower bosses have 1, so they'll just keep on increasing by a factor of 1. Rio increased by a factor of 10, and then Xenolord by 100. So Xenolord, you might only see like him get frozen twice in a fight, because you have 15 base pals wailing on him when Diamond Rain and stuff. So it's something to plan around as well. But same thing there, like the roots, it just works a lot better on a mount or one of these element swap pals, where you can just go and use the electric attacks on the pal, and since it's not using any water attacks, you're not overwriting the effect. So I'm just dealing double damage for the entirety of this fight against the hard mode Marcus and Phaleris. So it works a little bit better. Then we have short CD builds. So this is another build we're covering now. So using attacks you need the animation times to line up with a short cooldown time. Like we can see here is a bad example. We got Wind Edge, Lightning Streak and Airblade, and they did have a filler attack in between. And then we went Airblade, Flare Storm, Lightning Streak and added Impatient. And you can see now that there's no filler attack. This Ignis Blast or Dark Shot or whatever pals like to use as their filler attack. And if you remove the filler attack from just this kind of basic loop, that's actually a 56% DPS increase. Now you do lose like Muscle Head, which is a 16% attack increase. So you sacrifice a little bit of attack power. But overall, it just works very well with that spammy attack build. Then we have the CC build, which is Lightning Streak, Lightning Bolt and Diamond Rain. They all do respectable single target damage. So you could actually use that throughout a boss fight, or at least for the first couple of minutes until the diminishing returns get too high. But you will get a lot of freeze and a lot of stun and high DPS with this build, and it works against smaller targets as well. Then one build I think is pretty interesting to bring up is the long range build. So these attacks are the ones that have good damage, like they're on the top DPS chart, and then they also have very long range. So you can see in Cinram they're trying to get closer for a Beam Slicer. So that's one with 4,000, probably like the medium range build. But if you swap that out for something like Diamond Rain, Wall Splash and Holy Burst, so no Slicer skill here, you can see that you can use it from super far away. This is pretty good against raid bosses as well. If you want your raid army staying spread out, you could use some pals with these attacks and not have them like rush forward and group up to get Holy Bursted themselves. So overall I'd say Beam Slicer and Hydro Slicer at 4,000 count, just because they're pretty strong on their own. But just using that like Diamond Rain, Holy Burst, especially against big targets, it just works out very well. For standing far away, you might not want to be like up close using Airblade, Wind Edge and Rock Burst builds. Also worth showing for this part as well, just having these long range builds. You can stand up on the cliffs, have your pal attack. You might need to reset it, because you might want to run close and use like Ignis Blast or something, the filler attack. But you can just reset it with a shot and sending it out again. And we use this Wall Splash, Diamond Rain, Holy Burst, whatever skill from the list here really. And then the Shotgun build, which is mainly just a Rock Burst build, but you can also pair it with like Airblade and Wind Edge, just something like that. It is just getting close through a couple of different tools, mainly just moving close to the player and using Rock Burst. It attacks very hard when you do it in melee range. So the Rock Burst build, you mainly want skills that have lower priority than Rock Burst. So if you take something like Flame Funnel and send the pal out, we use Flame Funnel first. And then the boss might just jump back, or your own pal might do a little jump back. So that, just keep that in mind. Just like the lower power skills usually go after Rock Burst, so something like Holy Burst is pretty safe to put in there. Or you can do it with some sort of exclusive attack, like Incineram's Hellfire Claw, moving close, just to sort of maintain that melee range for the Rock Burst build. Same thing with Splatterina here, using the Hellfire Claw on Incineram and the Grudge Barrage on Splatterina. Just kind of keeps them close. And this build also works best on these like Electric and Dark Pals. They don't have like a minimum range on their filler attack, so they won't jump backwards. So any sort of pal that uses the electric filler or the dark filler can do that basic Rock Burst build on its own. And then any one of them as well that just is a mount as well. You can see Necromus is taking off a little bit, not staying in range. You can just mount up, move closer, use Rock Burst, dismount, have it use Rock Burst again. So this shotgun build just overall very nice when leveling as well. You can just run up to alpha bosses and one-shot them on any sort of mount pal really. And then the big boss builds, which is mainly these skills that hit super hard against big targets. You got stuff like Holy Burst, Airblade, Lightning Streak, all those kind of skills hit really hard. So one of them that works really well is this Holy Burst, Lightning Streak, Curtain Splash. You get this sort of soaked aggregate with Electrify combo again. And Lightning Streak being very good against big targets as well. Curtain Splash also super good against big targets. And then Holy Burst is just broken. Why not use it against the big targets as well? It's mainly this like Rio, Victor, Marcus, Xenolord. If you for some reason don't want to use like the full-on meta builds. You could just go Airblade as well. It's also very strong against these big targets in the current patch as well. Holy Burst, Lightning Streak, Blast Cannon also works. Blast Cannon also very strong against big targets. And then you also don't have to deal with some of the like aggregate effects from the water combo if you're using some sort of fire pal as well. Like there is the downside of having these like basic filler attacks causing aggregates as well. Just something to keep in mind. Then AOE Farming, the last build we're gonna cover. Just the attacks I use on my like farming enemy bases or oil rigs or anything like that. Just Lightning Strike, Meteor Rain, and then the basic Comet Strike as well. Not to be overlooked. It's a little bit weaker than Meteor Rain. But if you just want some sort of budget option as well, that one works pretty well. And then they all like hit through buildings as well. You'll see the Meteor Rains landing on multiple floors above you. This is Lightning Strike hitting multiple floors as well. But I think that's it, all the builds I wanted to cover. So yeah, thanks for watching.